First contact and cultural shock. The massive Zarthian exploration vessel, Nexus, hung in geosynchronous orbit above Earth, its crystalline hull refracting sunlight in dazzling patterns across the planet's atmosphere. Inside, chief xenobiologist Zara Xentol stood before the ship's primary observation window, her iridescent scales shimmering with excitement as she gazed down at the blue and green world below. Fascinating, Zara murmured, her four eyes blinking in rapid succession. A Class M planet teeming with life and a dominant species capable of interstellar communication. The Council will be most pleased with our discovery. Captain Vexler, a towering figure with deep purple scales and intimidating mandibles, approached Zara from behind. Your assessment of the humans, xenobiologist. Are they a threat? Zara turned to face her superior, her tail swishing thoughtfully. Not a threat, Captain. At least, not in the traditional sense. Their technology is primitive compared to ours, but there's something unique about them. Their adaptability, their resilience, it's unlike anything I've encountered in my studies. Vexler's mandibles clicked with mild irritation. Spare me the scientific fascination, Xentol. I need to know if they're worth contacting, or if we should move on to the next system. Oh, they're absolutely worth contacting. Zara's scales flushed with enthusiasm. Their genetic diversity alone is staggering, and their reproductive methods, well, they're quite extraordinary. The captain's antennae twitched with curiosity. Extraordinary how? Zara launched into an explanation, her words tumbling out in a rush of scientific jargon. Unlike our species, which reproduces through a careful selection of genetic material and artificial gestation, humans engage in a process called sexual reproduction. It involves the physical joining of two individuals, the mixing of genetic material in a highly unpredictable manner, and then the internal gestation of offspring within one partner's body. It's messy, inefficient, and yet brilliantly effective at maintaining genetic diversity. Vexler's expression shifted from curiosity to mild disgust. That sounds primitive and potentially dangerous. Oh, but that's just it, Captain. Zara's eyes sparkled with excitement. It is primitive by our standards. And yet, look at what they've accomplished. They've spread across their planet, adapting to every environment imaginable. They've developed art, music, literature, forms of expression that go far beyond mere survival. There's something about their method of reproduction, something about the way they form bonds and family units that drives them to incredible feats of creativity and resilience. The captain considered this for a moment, his tactical mind whirring. And you believe this reproductive method is the key to understanding their species? Zara nodded emphatically. I do, Captain. With your permission, I'd like to lead the first contact team. We could learn so much from them, and perhaps they could learn from us as well. Vexler's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Very well, xenobiologist. Assemble your team. But remember, observation only. No interference with their natural development. The Council's rules on this matter are absolute. Zara saluted crisply, barely containing her excitement. Understood, Captain. We'll make first contact within the next planetary rotation. As Zara hurried off to prepare for the mission, Vexler turned back to the observation window, studying the planet below with a mixture of curiosity and trepidation. Humans were an unknown quantity, and unknowns always carried risk. But if Zara was right, if there was something truly special about this species, then the potential benefits of contact far outweighed the dangers. Little did either of them know just how profoundly this encounter would change not only their own lives, but the very fabric of both their societies. The next day, Zara found herself standing in a nondescript field outside a small human settlement, her heart racing with anticipation. The cloaking technology of their shuttle had allowed them to land undetected, and now she and her small team of researchers were about to make history. Remember, Zara instructed her team, her voice tight with excitement, we are here to observe and learn. Do not interfere with their daily lives unless absolutely necessary. And above all, remain calm. Humans are not accustomed to extraterrestrial life. Our appearance may be shocking to them. As if on cue, a human male emerged from a nearby structure, a primitive wheeled vehicle in tow. He froze mid-step, his eyes widening as he took in the sight of the alien visitors. Zara stepped forward, her universal translator working overtime to convert her complex language into something the human could understand. "Greetings, inhabitant of Earth. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and understanding." The man's mouth opened and closed several times, no sound emerging. Finally, he managed to croak out a single word: aliens. Zara's scales rippled with amusement. "Yes, we are what you would call aliens. I am Zara Xental, chief xenobiologist of the Zarthian Exploration Fleet. May I ask your name?" "T. David," the man stuttered, his eyes darting between Zara and her team. "David Chen. I need to sit down." As David lowered himself to the ground, looking pale and shaken, Zara felt a twinge of concern. Perhaps they should have taken a more gradual approach to first contact. But it was too late now. The proverbial cat was out of the bag. "David," Zara said gently, kneeling down to his level, "I understand this must be overwhelming for you. But I assure you, we mean you no harm. We are scientists, explorers. We've come to learn about your species, your culture, your way of life." David's breathing began to slow, his initial shock giving way to a cautious curiosity. You want to study us?" Zara nodded, her scales shimmering with enthusiasm. "Yes, your species is fascinating to us. The way you've adapted to your environment, the societies you've built, the art and music you've created, it's all quite remarkable." A hint of pride crept into David's expression. "Well, I suppose we have accomplished quite a bit, haven't we?" "Indeed you have," Zara agreed, "and we believe that your method of reproduction may be key to understanding your species' unique qualities." David's face flushed red, a physiological response that Zara found intriguing. Our method of reproduction." Zara launched into an explanation of her theories, her words tumbling out in a rush of scientific enthusiasm. As she spoke, David's expression cycled through a range of emotions: embarrassment, confusion, amusement, and finally, a grudging sort of pride. "So, let me get this straight," David said when Zara had finished. "You think that because we have sex and make babies the old-fashioned way, we're more creative, more resilient?" Zara's head tilted to the side, her 4 eyes blinking in rapid succession. "That's a rather simplified version, but essentially, yes. The bonds formed through your reproductive process, the family units you create, they seem to drive your species to great accomplishments." David chuckled, shaking his head in disbelief. "Well, I never thought I'd be discussing the birds and the bees with an alien, that's for sure." Before Zara could ask what avian and apian species had to do with human reproduction, a commotion from the nearby settlement caught their attention. Word of the aliens' arrival had spread, and a crowd of curious and frightened humans was gathering at the edge of the field. Zara stood, her scales rippling with a mix of excitement and apprehension. This was it, the moment that would define humanity's first true contact with an alien species. She turned to David, who was also getting to his feet. "David," she said, her voice filled with quiet urgency, "I know this is a lot to ask, but would you help us? Help us understand your people, and help your people understand us." David looked at the approaching crowd, then back at Zara and her team. A slow smile spread across his face. "You know what? Why not? If we're going to have aliens dropping by, might as well make sure we all get along, right?" As David stepped forward to address the crowd, Zara felt a surge of hope. This was just the beginning, she knew. There would be challenges ahead, misunderstandings and conflicts to navigate. But in this moment, watching a single human bravely bridge the gap between 2 vastly different species, she believed that anything was possible. The first contact had been made. Now, the real work of understanding, and the adventure of a lifetime, could begin. The human fertility crisis. 6 months after first contact, the small town of New Hope had become the epicenter of human-alien relations. What was once a quiet Midwestern community now bustled with a mix of human scientists, government officials, and curious civilians, all eager to interact with their extraterrestrial visitors. At the heart of this cultural exchange was the newly established Interspecies Research Center, a state-of-the-art facility where human and Zarthian scientists worked side by side. And at the center of it all was an unlikely duo, Zara Xentol, the enthusiastic alien xenobiologist, and Dr. Emily Chen, a brilliant human reproductive specialist who happened to be David's sister. On this particular morning, Emily burst into Zara's lab, her face flushed with excitement. "Zara, you won't believe what I've just discovered." Zara looked up from her microscope, her 4 eyes blinking rapidly in curiosity. "What is it, Emily? Have you made progress on the genetic compatibility study?" Emily shook her head, her ponytail swinging with emotion. "No, it's not that. It's about us. Humans, I mean." She paused, taking a deep breath. "We're facing a fertility crisis." Zara's scales rippled with concern. "A crisis? What do you mean?" Emily pulled up a series of graphs on the lab's holographic display. "Look at these numbers. Global fertility rates have been declining for decades, but in the last few years, it's accelerated dramatically. If this trend continues, we could be looking at a significant population decline within a generation." Zara studied the data, her scientific mind racing. But what's causing it? Environmental factors, genetic drift. "That's just it," Emily said, her voice tinged with frustration. "We can't pinpoint a single cause. It seems to be a perfect storm of factors: environmental toxins, stress, delayed childbearing, maybe even some kind of evolutionary shift we don't yet understand." Zara's antennae twitched thoughtfully. "This is concerning indeed. But Emily, why do you seem almost excited about this?" A smile spread across Emily's face. "Because Zara, I think this is where your people come in. Your understanding of genetics, your advanced reproductive technologies, they might be the key to solving this crisis." Zara's scales flushed with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Emily, you know the Council's rules about interfering with a species' natural development." I know," Emily said, waving her hand dismissively. "But think about it, Zara. This isn't natural development. Something's gone wrong, and if we don't act, it could spell disaster for our entire species. Surely the Council would understand that." Before Zara could respond, an alarm blared through the facility. Red lights flashed, and a computerized voice announced, "Warning. Unauthorized access detected in Sector 7. All personnel, please report to designated safe zones." Emily and Zara exchanged alarmed glances. Sector 7 was where they kept their most sensitive research, including early-stage human Zarthian hybrid embryos. "We have to get down there," Emily said, already moving towards the door. Zara nodded, her scales darkening with determination. "Agreed. Whatever's happening, we can't let that research fall into the wrong hands." As they raced through the facility's corridors, alarms blaring around them, both scientists knew that they were running towards more than just a security breach. They were rushing headlong into a situation that could change the course of both their species forever. When they reached Sector 7, they found chaos. The security doors had been blown open, and inside, a group of masked figures were attempting to access the facility's most secure databases. "Stop," Emily shouted, her voice carrying surprising authority. "You have no idea what you're dealing with." One of the intruders turned, revealing a face twisted with a mix of fear and determination. "No, you don't understand. We're trying to save humanity." Zara stepped forward, her alien presence causing the intruders to falter. "Explain yourselves," she said, her voice calm but firm. The apparent leader of the group, a middle-aged man with graying hair, stepped forward. "We know about the fertility crisis. We know you aliens are trying to change us, to make us more like you. But we won't let you destroy what makes us human." Emily's eyes widened in realization. You think we're, what? Trying to replace humans with alien hybrids. Isn't that what all this research is about? Another intruder asked, gesturing at the lab equipment around them. Zara and Emily exchanged glances. How had their work been so misunderstood? You've got it all wrong, Emily said, her voice softening. We're not trying to replace humans, we're trying to save them. Over the next tense hour, as security personnel secured the area and government officials were alerted, Emily and Zara explained their work to the intruders. They talked about the fertility crisis, about the potential for Zarthian science to help humans overcome it, and about their hopes for a future where both species could learn from each other. Slowly, the fear and anger in the intruder's eyes gave way to understanding, and then to hope. So, you're saying these hybrids, they're not to replace us, but to help us understand how to fix what's gone wrong? The leader asked, his voice heavy with emotion. Exactly, Zara said, her scales shimmering with sincerity. We believe that by studying the combination of our DNA, we can unlock the secrets to restoring human fertility. But it's not about changing who you are. It's about helping you remain who you've always been, a species of incredible resilience and creativity. As the situation diffused and the intruders were taken into custody, to be educated rather than punished, Emily insisted, Zara and Emily found themselves alone in the lab once more. That was too close, Emily said, slumping into a chair. If they had destroyed our research. But they didn't, Zara said, placing a comforting hand on Emily's shoulder. And now, perhaps, we have a chance to bring more humans on board with our work, to help them understand that we're here to help, not to conquer or replace. Emily nodded, a determined glint in her eye. You're right, but we need to do more. We need to show the world what we're doing here, why it's so important. What are you suggesting? Zara asked, her antennae twitching with curiosity. A slow smile spread across Emily's face. I think it's time we took our research public, really public. I'm talking worldwide broadcasts, open labs, full transparency. Zara's scales rippled with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The council won't like that. They prefer a more cautious approach to interspecies relations. Maybe it's time for a new approach, Emily said, standing up with renewed energy. Zara, we're not just talking about scientific research anymore. We're talking about the future of humanity. And if we're going to secure that future, we need humanity on our side. As Zara considered Emily's words, she felt a surge of something she'd never experienced before, a deep, personal investment in the fate of a species not her own. She realized that somewhere along the way, her scientific curiosity about humans had transformed into genuine care, perhaps even love. You're right, Zara said finally, her voice filled with determination. Let's do it. Let's show the world what we're fighting for. As they began to plan their public outreach campaign, neither Zara nor Emily could have predicted the waves of change their decision would set in motion. They were about to spark a global conversation about the future of humanity, the nature of species identity, and the power of interstellar cooperation. The fertility crisis had brought them together. Now it would be the catalyst for a transformation that would reshape both their worlds. An alien's bold proposal. The global livestream crackled to life, broadcasting from the Interspecies Research Center to billions of screens worldwide. Dr. Emily Chen stood at the podium, her posture confident despite the gravity of the situation. Beside her, Zara Zentol's iridescent scales shimmered under the harsh studio lights, a vivid reminder of the extraordinary nature of this moment. People of Earth, Emily began, her voice steady and clear, we come to you today with news that will shape the future of our species. As many of you know, humanity is facing an unprecedented fertility crisis. But today, we offer not just an explanation, but a solution born from the stars. Social media exploded with reactions. #AlienBabies and #HumanityAtStake began trending worldwide within seconds. Emily continued, undeterred. Working alongside our Zarthian allies, we've uncovered the root of our fertility decline. It's not just environmental factors or lifestyle changes. It's a fundamental shift in our genetic code, triggered by centuries of technological advancement outpacing our biological evolution. Gasps echoed through the studio audience. Online forums lit up with frenzied speculation. Zara stepped forward, her alien features filling screens across the globe. But do not despair, people of Earth. Where your science has reached its limits, ours may provide the key. We propose a bold solution, a carefully controlled program of human Zarthian genetic hybridization. The studio erupted in chaos. Security guards rushed to contain protesters who had somehow slipped into the audience. Online, the hashtag #NoLienDNA shot to the top of trending lists. Emily raised her hands, calling for calm. Please, hear us out. This is not about replacing humanity, it's about saving it. By introducing select Zarthian genes into the human genome, we can reverse the fertility decline and ensure the survival of our species. As the livestream continued, Zara and Emily laid out their plan in detail. They spoke of rigorous ethical oversight, of voluntary participation, of the potential for enhanced human capabilities alongside restored fertility. They showed holographic models of hybrid embryos, emphasizing how fundamentally human they remained. Slowly, the tide of public opinion began to shift. Comments sections filled with thoughtful questions rather than knee-jerk reactions. #SaveHumanity started to overtake #NoLienDNA. But it was the next moment that truly captured the world's attention. Zara stepped forward once more, her scales flushing with an emotion that even those unfamiliar with Zarthian biology could recognize as nervousness. There is one more thing, she said, her voice softer now. To demonstrate our commitment to this project, to show our trust in the hybridization process, I have decided to volunteer as the first Zarthian to carry a hybrid embryo. The studio fell silent. For a moment, it seemed as if the entire world held its breath. Emily turned to Zara, shock evident on her face. This hadn't been part of the plan. "Zara," she whispered, "are you sure?" Zara nodded, her 4 eyes blinking rapidly. "I've never been more certain of anything in my life," she said, loud enough for the microphones to pick up. "I believe in this project. I believe in humanity. And I'm willing to put my own body on the line to prove it." The silence broke. The studio audience erupted in cheers. Online, #ZaraOrHero became an instant worldwide trend. As the livestream concluded, Emily and Zara found themselves at the center of a media storm unlike anything Earth had ever seen. News anchors debated the ethics of the proposal. Scientists from every field clamored to be part of the project. Religious leaders called emergency conclaves to discuss the theological implications. But amidst the chaos, Emily pulled Zara aside into a quiet corner of the studio. "Did you mean it?" she asked, her voice a mix of awe and concern. "Are you really willing to do this?" Zara's scales rippled with determination. "I am," she said softly. "Emily, when I first came to Earth, I was a scientist studying an interesting species. But now I feel like I'm fighting for the future of my own people. Because that's what humans have become to me. My people." Emily felt tears welling in her eyes. She reached out, taking Zara's alien hand in her own. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." As they stood there, an unlikely pair united by an impossible mission, neither could have predicted the challenges that lay ahead. The protests that would rock cities worldwide. The legal battles that would redefine the very concept of personhood. The midnight breakthrough that would change everything they thought they knew about genetics. But in that moment, none of that mattered. All that mattered was the bond between them, a bond that transcended species, a bond that held the promise of a future neither of them could have imagined when they first met. As they left the studio, stepping out into a world forever changed by their announcement, Emily and Zara knew one thing for certain: their journey was just beginning. And it would be a journey that would test the limits of science, of ethics, and of love itself. The cameras continued to roll, capturing every moment of this historic day. Across the globe, millions watched, their hearts racing with fear, hope, and the thrill of the unknown. In living rooms and boardrooms, in labs and places of worship, one question echoed. What would the children of two worlds look like? As night fell, the Interspecies Research Center hummed with activity. Teams of scientists worked around the clock, preparing for the most ambitious experiment in human history. In her private quarters, Zara meditated, her body and mind preparing for the challenge ahead. And in her office, Emily stared out at the star-filled sky, wondering if somewhere out there, other species were watching, waiting to see if humanity would take this leap into the unknown. The fate of two species now rested in their hands. The next 9 months would change everything. Unexpected connections. As news of Zara's bold decision spread across the globe, the Interspecies Research Center became a hive of activity. Scientists, journalists, and curious onlookers flocked to New Hope, turning the once quiet town into a bustling hub of interspecies cooperation. 3 months into Zara's pregnancy, the world watched with bated breath as she underwent her first public ultrasound. The livestream drew record-breaking viewership, surpassing even the most popular sporting events and reality TV finales. Emily stood beside Zara, her hand resting supportively on the alien's shoulder as the ultrasound image flickered to life on screens worldwide. A collective gasp echoed across the planet as the hybrid fetus came into view. "It's beautiful," Emily whispered, her voice thick with emotion. The fetus was undeniably alien, with Zara's iridescent scales clearly visible, but there was something unmistakably human in its form as well. Its tiny hands, though tipped with claw-like nails, were curled in a gesture so familiar it brought tears to the eyes of millions watching. Social media exploded with reactions. #MiracleChild and #OnUniversionFamily became the top trending hashtags within minutes. But not everyone was celebrating. As Zara's pregnancy progressed, protests erupted in major cities across the globe. Religious extremists decried the hybrid as an abomination. Conspiracy theorists claimed it was all an elaborate hoax to distract from government misdeeds. Amidst the chaos, Emily and Zara found solace in each other's company. Late one night, as they sat in the research center's rooftop garden, watching the stars, Emily turned to Zara with a question that had been weighing on her mind. "Zara," she said softly, "are you scared?" Zara's scales rippled with a mix of emotions. Terrified, she admitted, but also excited. In all my years of studying life across the galaxy, I never imagined I'd be part of creating something so unique, so precious. Emily nodded, understanding all too well. "I keep thinking about what this child will face. Will they be accepted? Will they struggle to find their place in either of our worlds?" Zara reached out, taking Emily's hand in her own. The gesture, once alien, now felt as natural as breathing. "They will have us," she said firmly. "And they will have a whole planet of humans and Zarthians who are ready to embrace a new future." As the pregnancy entered its final months, an unexpected complication arose. Zara's body, not fully adapted to carrying a partially human fetus, began to show signs of stress. The medical team worked around the clock, combining human and Zarthian treatments in ways never before attempted. The world held its collective breath as Zara was rushed into emergency surgery. #PrayForZara trended globally, with humans and Zarthians alike sending messages of hope and support. For hours, Emily paced outside the operating room, her mind racing with worst-case scenarios. When the door finally opened, she braced herself for bad news. Instead, she was greeted by the most beautiful sound she had ever heard, the cry of a newborn child. The hybrid baby, a girl, was unlike anything the universe had ever seen. Her skin shimmered with a subtle iridescence, her eyes, all 4 of them, blinked with human-like lashes. Her tiny hands ended in delicate claws, and a soft ridge of scales ran down her spine. As Emily held the child for the first time, she felt a wave of emotion so powerful it nearly brought her to her knees. This wasn't just a scientific breakthrough. This was the beginning of a new chapter in the story of life itself. Zara, weak but recovering, reached out to touch her daughter's cheek. "What shall we name her?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Emily smiled, tears streaming down her face. "How about Hope?" "Because that's what she represents for all of us." The announcement of Hope's birth set off celebrations across the globe. Fireworks lit up the skies over major cities. Impromptu street parties erupted in town squares. For one shining moment, the entire human race was united in joy and wonder. But as the initial excitement faded, new questions arose. How would Hope be raised? What kind of education would she receive? What rights would she have under human and Zarthian law? Emily and Zara found themselves at the center of a global debate about the future of interspecies relations. They testified before the United Nations, met with world leaders, and gave countless interviews. Through it all, they remained focused on one thing: providing the best possible life for their daughter. As Hope grew, she began to display abilities that amazed both her human and Zarthian caretakers. She could process information at incredible speeds, her hybrid brain combining the best aspects of both species. Her immune system was remarkably robust, shrugging off diseases that would have felled either a human or a Zarthian. But more importantly, Hope became a symbol of what was possible when two species came together in harmony. She laughed with the unbridled joy of a human child and observed the world with the keen curiosity of a Zarthian scientist. On Hope's first birthday, as the world tuned in to watch the celebration, Emily and Zara made an announcement that would once again change everything. "We've learned so much from Hope," Emily said, addressing the cameras. "And now, we're ready to take the next step. We're opening a hybridization program to volunteer couples around the world." Zara nodded, adding, "This isn't just about saving humanity anymore. It's about creating a new future for both our species. A future where the boundaries between us fade away and we stand united as citizens of the galaxy." As the announcement concluded, Emily and Zara shared a look of deep understanding. They had started this journey as scientist and subject, as human and alien. Now, they stood together as partners, as parents, as pioneers of a new age. The road ahead would not be easy. There would be setbacks, opposition, and challenges they couldn't even imagine. But as they watched Hope playing in the garden, her laughter ringing out like a promise of better days to come, they knew that every struggle would be worth it. For in that laughter, they heard the sound of the future, a future where the stars themselves were no longer the limit of what life could achieve. A new understanding of life. 10 years had passed since Hope's birth, and the world had changed in ways few could have predicted. The interspecies hybrid program, once controversial, had become a beacon of progress and unity. Cities around the globe now bustled with a mix of humans, Zarthians, and the growing population of hybrids. Hope, now a precocious 10-year-old, had become a global icon. Her video blogs, where she shared her unique perspective on life as a hybrid, regularly went viral. #HopeIsWorld trended weekly as millions tuned in to watch her navigate the complexities of her dual heritage. On this particular day, Hope sat in front of her holo camera, her 4 eyes bright with excitement. "Today's a big day," she announced to her millions of followers. "I'm starting at the new Interspecies Academy. I can't wait to meet other hybrid kids and learn stuff that'll blow your minds." As Hope's stream ended, Emily and Zara shared a proud smile. Their daughter had grown into a confident, curious child who embodied the best of both species. "She's ready," Emily said, squeezing Zara's hand. Zara's scales rippled with a mix of pride and nervousness. "I know, but are we?" The Interspecies Academy was the first of its kind, a school designed specifically for hybrid children. Its curriculum blended human and Zarthian knowledge, preparing students for a future where the boundaries between species continued to blur. As they approached the school, a crowd of reporters and onlookers had gathered. Hope, used to the attention, waved cheerfully. "Hi everyone. ready to learn something awesome today. The crowd cheered, their enthusiasm a far cry from the protests that had once greeted Zara's pregnancy. Hope's charisma and the undeniable benefits of the hybridization program had won over even the staunchest critics. Inside the school, Hope was greeted by a diverse group of students. Some had scales like her, others had extra limbs or sensory organs. Each was unique, a living testament to the incredible potential of interspecies collaboration. As Hope settled into her first class, led by a holographic AI teacher capable of adapting to each student's unique biology, Emily and Zara found themselves in a meeting with the school's board of directors. "We've come so far," the board chairperson, a distinguished Zarthian scientist, began, "but we're facing new challenges. Some hybrid children are developing abilities we never anticipated. We need to ensure we're prepared to guide them responsibly." Emily nodded, her mind racing with the implications. What kind of abilities are we talking about? The chairperson activated a holographic display showing footage of hybrid children demonstrating remarkable feats. One could manipulate electromagnetic fields, another showed signs of limited telepathy, and a third seemed able to perceive multiple dimensions. "We're only beginning to understand the potential of hybrid genetics," Zara mused, her scientific curiosity piqued. These children could be the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe itself. As the meeting continued, discussing plans for advanced training programs and ethical guidelines, an alarm suddenly blared through the school. Emily and Zara rushed out, fear gripping their hearts. They found Hope in the school's central atrium, surrounded by a crowd of awestruck students and teachers. The young hybrid was floating several feet off the ground, her body surrounded by a shimmering field of energy. "Mom, Mama," Hope called out, her voice a mix of excitement and fear. "I don't know what's happening, but it feels amazing." Emily and Zara exchanged glances, realizing that their daughter was at the forefront of this new evolutionary leap. The abilities they had just been discussing weren't a future concern. They were happening now, right before their eyes. As news of Hope's newfound abilities spread, the global reaction was intense. Some hailed it as the dawn of a new age of human potential. Others feared it marked the beginning of the end for pure humanity. World leaders convened emergency meetings. Religious figures debated the spiritual implications. And at the heart of it all was Hope, a child on the cusp of adolescence, trying to understand her place in a world that was changing as rapidly as she was. In the weeks that followed, more hybrid children began manifesting similar abilities. The Interspecies Academy quickly became a research center as well as a school, with scientists from both species working around the clock to understand and guide these evolutionary leaps. Emily and Zara found themselves once again at the center of a global storm. But this time, they were prepared. They had spent the last decade building bridges between humans and Zarthians, fostering understanding and cooperation. One evening, as they watched Hope practicing her newfound levitation skills in the backyard, Emily turned to Zara with a sense of wonder. "When we started this journey, I thought we were just trying to save humanity. I never imagined we'd be part of creating something more." Zara's scales shimmered with emotion. Perhaps this was always the destiny of our species, not to remain separate, but to come together and evolve into something greater than either of us could have become alone. As the sun set on another extraordinary day, Hope floated down to join her parents. Her 4 eyes sparkled with the thrill of discovery, her hybrid features a living symbol of unity and potential. "Mom, Mama," she said, her voice filled with determination, "I want to use these new abilities to help people. To show everyone that being different isn't something to fear, it's something to celebrate." Emily and Zara embraced their daughter, their hearts swelling with pride and hope for the future. They knew that the road ahead would be challenging, filled with new discoveries and unforeseen obstacles. But they also knew that they had already overcome the greatest barrier of all, the fear of the unknown. As night fell and stars filled the sky, the little family stood together, their gazes turned upward. In those twinkling lights, they saw not distant, unreachable points, but future homes, future adventures, future friends waiting to be met. The story of humanity and Zothians was no longer one of separate species, but of a unified cosmic family ready to take its first steps into a vast and wondrous galaxy. And leading the way was Hope, a child of two worlds, showing everyone that the future was brighter and more incredible than anyone could have imagined. The journey that had begun with a simple scientific curiosity had blossomed into something far greater, a testament to the power of love, understanding, and the limitless potential of life itself. As Hope's story continued to unfold, millions around the world and beyond watched with bated breath, eager to see what wonders the next chapter would bring. For in her journey, they saw reflections of their own hopes, dreams, and the eternal human spirit of exploration and growth. The adventure was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun.